Hi guys, and welcome back to Hilltop Farm. Today I'm going to do a video where I explain to you what Wicca is. Since I made a video not long ago and I sort of outlined what was going on with our Patreon account, and I then outlined in the future one of the things I was going to be doing was lessons in Wicca. I've had a few people actually ask me, you know, what exactly is that? What Wicca is technically it's an ancient pagan religion, technically. Okay, now I don't want everyone running for the stop button. Just hear me out. People think that Wicca is devil worship, it's evil, it's satanic, this, that and the other. It's not. There is no devil in the Wiccan religion, for a start. And there's no harming anyone allowed. The motto, if you like, the rule that they go by clearly states that you can pretty much do whatever you like in life as long as it harms no one else. Okay, now that automatically takes out anything bad, any devil worship, anything like that, because you're frankly not allowed to. Alright? It's not part of the religion, and it clearly states that at the beginning you cannot harm anyone. End of story. So let's just clear that up from the onset. Wicca is often called witchcraft. Okay? And people think, oh, witchcraft, you know, it's going to be Charmed meets Harry Potter meets Psycho. I'm not quite sure what they think, but it is not like that. Harry Potter is the most wonderful series of books and movies out, and we'd all love to have a wand and cast spells and do all that. Lovely. You know, I don't know if you remember Charmed. I remember my kids watching it, and these girls could sort of freeze time and do all these wonderful things. Great, but these stories are just that. They're stories. It's escapism, and it's wonderful to have escapism, and it's wonderful to have fantasy stories, but they don't exist. It's not true. It's not real. But unfortunately, when people think witchcraft, that's what they think of. Or if you're old school like me, you think of good old Samantha wiggling her nose, and the hideous Indora, the mother-in-law, coming in and creating havoc for poor old Darren. So again, not what witchcraft is actually about. In Wicca, you will, when I teach you, you will eventually be casting spells, yes. But you don't cast spells with a wave of the wand or the wiggle of the nose. Breaking it down to simple English, casting spells is putting together a genuine wish for something, right, and sending those vibes, if you like, that good karma out into the world. Okay, if, for example, one of you were to say to me, my child is very ill, they're going to have surgery, say a prayer for me, that's fine, and the Christians will go along to church and say a prayer, and so will other religions in their own way. I won't profess to know what they do because I don't know, but they will all do their bit. Wiccans won't go to a church and say a prayer. We will put together what we call an altar, which is we put out a cloth, We will light a candle, we will burn an incense, we will find some crystals or some flowers or whatever that that puts us in the right mindset to be able to send good energy out into the atmosphere, out your way. And that's what we do. That is our prayer. That is how we do it. It's all very loving and it's all very natural, all very peaceful. We're not trying to force our beliefs on anyone else, nor do we expect anyone to force their beliefs on us. But this is what Wicca is about. Wicca is about dealing with natural things, right? That's the witchcraft side of it. So when you hear people that are Wiccan and they're talking about witchcraft, this is what they're talking about, right? Forget all you see in the movies and all the horror stories that you hear in some churches, because I mean, my wife was heavily Christian when we met, and so she's heard all these things and said them herself through ignorance, but she's learnt now what it's really about, and that it doesn't do harm and it's not devil worship and so forth. But the main reason that we do it gets our body in tune with Mother Nature and the seasons and the earth. You get closer to everything in nature, to the point where you like, for just as an example, you'll see someone on a show that's maybe Native American Indian, or they're a native Aboriginal Australian, or some old school culture, and they know what the weather's going to be like when they get up in the morning by the smell in the air, the direction of the breeze, the look of the clouds, and all these things. And a lot of old school homesteaders, right, the real old school ones that that are in their 80s and 90s, they can do it too, because they're so used to it, because they're at one with nature. They don't look at the calendar and say, oh, it's such and such a date, we must start planting the beans, or it's such and such a date, we must harvest the potatoes. They don't do that. They know by the weather and the way it feels, because every year is different. The weather that's conducive, for example, for growing beans might start 3 weeks early one year than the recommended date, just because of the way things are going. It might be 6 weeks late next year, and the old timers know that. The Native American Indians will know when the buffalo should be starting their migration or coming through in their migration, or whatever the case may be. And they knew that before they had a Western calendar to consult. And I bet you, even if you did have a calendar to consult, those buffalo would not come through on the same day every year, because they come through based on the rising and setting of the sun, the temperature. There are a whole load of factors that will make them, something trigger in them that they have to start migration. And it won't necessarily come together on an exact date every year. It'll be close, but not the exact date. And I get so fed up when I'm watching the weather and they say, oh, okay, well today is the first of summer, first day of summer, and you look outside, it's freezing cold and pouring with rain, and it's like, it's not summer just because the date's changed and you've said it's summer. It's summer when the climatic change has occurred and it's become summer. And that makes a big difference to your animals, your crops, your success and your failures, and being Wiccan and following the seasons does make it a lot easier. And I don't believe half the waffle these so-called experts, meteorologists, tell me as far as what the weather's going to be doing. They can't predict from in the morning. They can't tell you what it's going to be like after lunch, you know, and they're here talking to us about you know, climate change. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not doing a Mr. Trump here. I do believe into climate change. There's no doubt about it. The scientists, experts are telling us there is climate change, and I don't doubt that for a minute. But as far as these meteorologists, the exact information they're giving me, I think that's fine as far as historical information is concerned. As far as predicting, as I say, they can't get it right 6 hours in advance, so I give up on that, and I think they're hopeless. So we're training, and it's training all the time. It's a lifetime's worth of training, and we're training ourselves, and every year we get better at it. You know, for example, and it's all this is, and if you move, it'll throw you, because it's different for everywhere you live. I know in this house, I know when the wind blows through a particular window of this house, I know that rain is coming, and I'm starting to work out when, like the distance away that the rain is. And I don't care what the meteorologists say. If they say, oh, it's going to be raining today, if it's not blowing through that window, we won't even see a cloud. Okay, so no, I'm sorry, you're wrong. And there have been other days where I've told my daughter, you know, well, make sure you got your umbrella, it's going to rain today. Oh, it's not what the weather says. And I just look at her and, yes, Dad, she says, and sure enough, she comes home with a wet umbrella. So, you know, it does work, but I am definitely going to be doing this course. It is going to be starting next year, and I think a lot of you will find it beneficial. It's just a lovely, relaxing, peaceful. It's a way of life. It's a way to live. And it just goes so well with homesteading. It really does. They go hand in hand. In a nutshell, that's basically what Wicca is. So those of you that are unsure, that's what it's about. Give it some serious thought and come along for the journey when it starts up next year. I will be letting people know in advance that it's coming up. So and how it will work. Yeah, through Patreon. Alright, so any other questions, feel free to ask me and I will answer them as best as I can. In the meantime, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out next year on any of the Wiccan based videos that will be coming out. And until next time, it's goodbye from Hilltop Farm. See ya!